Yeah, this has been one that I've been looking forward to exploring. You knew I'd get the more natural finish, and it took me a while to choose my slick guitar. I took advantage of a recent sale that they did. They're a strange company. They always seem to have so much out of stock, and a lot of their offerings seem to be seconds on that site. But I did manage to find one that was in new condition. Not that I'm afraid of buying seconds. It's just that the last couple I've had from Guitar Fetish have been, problematic to say the least. So I wanted a clean one. And those were acoustics. So I've only had one electric from Guitar Fetish, and it was one of their own Javier brand. I wanted to try a slick guitar. Earl Slick. I'm a fan of David Bowie's guitarist. He's had some great ones, from Mick Ronson to Carlos Alomar to Robert Fripp to Stevie Ray Vaughan, Reeves Gabrels more recently. Who else has he had? I think Frampton played with him on one of the tours. I mean, he's had the best guitars over his career. Sadly, he's not with us anymore. Earl Slick was with Bowie for a long time, and was known for sort of playing classic guitars until he sort of came up with his own brand. And these sort of caught my eye for a couple of reasons. There are, I think, 4 or 5 major shapes. This is the only one they do in a maple fretboard finish. I think the others are all rosewood. So I wanted this one with a maple, and I'm glad I chose it. I also chose one of the 2 telly shapes that has these sort of Filtertron style pickups, because I heard some good things about them, and I do like the original Filtertrons. Of course, another famous guitar manufacturer, but these are sort of along that line. I've even heard you can sort of experiment with the pole pieces on these and get better sounds. So I got the telly shape, the natural finish, this ash looking thing, which is in 3 pieces. Really nice figure on that. They sort of do a satin finish and then sand it back to expose the grain, so you have that sort of black and brown effect. Another thing I wanted to try on these was all the brass that's on them. So it has their own patented tailpiece, if I can show you clearly there, with the 6 movable saddles. Supposedly you get better sustain with these brass tailpieces. Also the mounts, you can't see in the picture, but the mount underneath the metal housing for the pickups is brass, as well as is the knob and the toggle switch, which comes separate, that you have to screw in. The jack plate is black though. Surprised they didn't match that. And the tuning keys are brass capped. So your typical tuning keys, they look like every other tuning key, but they've had the keys either dipped or they're brass keys that they've added. Trying to get you a good picture. People are not crazy about the logo. A lot of people think that's cheese. Of course, there's Earl himself on the K. Don't really bother me that much. Kind of an interesting shape. Doesn't quite have the hook that a lot of Fenders have, which is probably why they're not in trouble. Has the graphite nut, the black fret markers. Not a terrible setup on these, but not completely without work either. The first thing is the action was too high, so I had to lower that somewhat. And also, I can feel, I haven't done any fret end work, they weren't bad at all, but I can feel just a little beginning of a little sprout. Probably because I live in a dry area, it takes a couple of days and I start feeling it. So I just file the burrs off the fret ends all along both sides of the guitar, and then it's really clean. And then normally I don't have another problem with it unless the guitar gets dried out or something. But I've got my Vornado. Since the heat's starting to come on for that part of the year, I've got my 10-gallon Vornado humidifier already set up to keep the room humidified so that these don't dry out. Very heavy though. It's a heavy guitar. It's all of 9 pounds plus. So that's going to put other people off. Other things that might put people off is it's very tactile. Very tactile. So it's not a smooth finish at all. They didn't use a grain filler or anything like that, because they want that sort of 3D finish, natural finish appeal. And you can get this done with I think a light blue and a white that has the same sort of grain design. I like the more natural one, so I went with this. The other thing, the only slight thing also that bothers me just a bit, you see that plate on the back? It's got the Earl Slick logo on the back. The plate kind of lines up with the contours of where the neck meets the body. And so when you play up here, you can almost feel the sharpness of the plate on the edge right here, which is going to annoy some people. I can see somebody taking a Dremel tool and just knocking that edge off the plate so you don't feel it when you play up here on the neck. That's another thing that's going to bother a few people. Few other people have also complained about the fact there's no tone control, but he doesn't want one. I mean, he designs a lot of his guitars without them. You get your tone settings at your amp. All you need is a pickup switch and a volume knob. It's going for simplicity. He's not the first guitarist to do that. I believe Van Halen designed a couple of guitars without tone knobs, so it's certainly not unique. No coil split or anything like that. Simple switch from middle to bridge to neck. And you get 3 distinct tones. Kind of very clear and precise too. Not overly powerful, or they don't drive your amp too hard, but it's a telly. I don't think he's going for that. Yeah, so it's pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think there's some good features on this for the money. What was the cost? Around $300 for these, I believe. I think that the other version of these with just the single pickup in them, which is a different style of pickup. Can't remember the name of it now. Is slightly cheaper, and then of course he has more standard telly, and then he has a double cut sort of junior looking version as well. And you can get this finish, this brown black finish, in pretty much all the 4 different styles. If you prefer more of a junior or a Les Paul shape, or even a Strat shape, I think you can get this finish, but you can't get this fretboard in all of them. So that's why I went for this one. But also I like the simple aesthetic of it. I like the look of these pickups. I like the way they sound. Of course, a lot of people are going to get these and mod them, as with anything. But I think what you get is pretty good. Another thing that might annoy a few people is these are not bottom loaded. There's no string ferrules to feed the bridge on this. What you do is you feed them in from the front, and then they curl over. A bit like you would do it on a Bigsby setup. I haven't noticed any detriment to that at all. It's all brass, so it's basically the tension is coming from the front, and then it wraps over these brass saddles, and it seems to have pretty good sustain. So I think it's doing its job. Again, I just got this, just set it up. I haven't really wailed on it or anything. I wanted to show it to you relatively soon after unpacking it and just doing a couple of tweaks on it, because I've been wanting to review a slick guitar for a long time. They are made in China. That is not a negative thing. They seem to be made pretty well. I would say that the maple fretboard is not quite up to the standard of some of the other guitars that I've had recently, like the Earl Strat copy And the Alan Eden Strat copy, I like that sort of roasted maple a little bit better. This seems very, very plain, completely unfinished maple on this. It is a C neck, kind of shallow, easy to play, very much a modern neck, but not complete shredder neck though. And the fact that it's satin is going to please a lot of people, because one of the first things people do when they buy guitars is steel wool that neck to get that sort of satin finish. So all in all, a pretty pleasing purchase, and I'm looking forward to messing around with it a bit more. I do think it's going to require better strings. The tuning stability is not bad, but I just think that with better strings it's going to be even better than it is now. So there you go. Forget what the model number is on these. I will put it in the description or flash it up on the screen probably now. But this is one of the slick guitars from Guitar Fetish, this being their sort of double humbucker telly shape model with the maple fretboard option. Alright folks, I'll see you on another one. Till then.